Welcome to Home Cooking with Holly. Today I'm going to roast a whole chicken with my favorite marinade and my special herb butter. I hope that you'll follow along and give it a try. To start out, I'm going to brine my chicken. You want to do this at least overnight. You could even do it up to 2 nights. And I'm using bird baptism brine. And you usually mix about a cup of this brine with a half of a gallon of water. If you're going to use it for a turkey, you would use the entire container and a gallon of water. But we're just going to do a chicken here. This brine has so much flavor. I think that's the only way I want to ever roast a chicken again. So I'm going to pour this over the chicken, and I have it in a pan that I can fully submerge it in. I'm going to add a little more water to just cover that chicken. Now I'm going to cover this. I'm just going to use some plastic wrap and pop it into my fridge. Now to make the herb butter, I do recommend you make this at least a day ahead. A couple days even is better. You just want to allow time for the butter and all of the flavors of the herbs to meld together. Now you should soften your butter. I didn't here, so I popped it in the microwave just to soften it up. And I have a 1/4 cup of butter. I'm going to use about 3/4 teaspoon of thyme. And I'm going to use about 1.5 teaspoons of rosemary. So it's 1 part thyme to 2 parts rosemary. And again, if I were doing a turkey, I would double all of this. Then I just want to mix this up together really nice. And now that it's all mixed up, I'm just going to pop a lid on it and put it in the fridge. This is going to be so full of flavor. It's the next day, and I've taken the chicken out of the brine and just kind of patted it dry with paper towels. And now in the roasting pan, I'm going to place it back into the refrigerator. And you want to do this for at least 12 hours. Longer is better. This will help the skin to pucker a little bit and makes it much crisper when you cook it. Now I've gotten the chicken out and let it come to close to room temperature. It's been about 45 minutes. Remember to never leave things out for longer than 2 hours because bacteria can start to grow. Now I'm going to actually lift up the skin because I want to put that herb butter underneath it. So I'm going to reach my fingers in and just kind of separate the skin from the meat. It's actually very easy to do. You do though want to be careful not to tear the skin. This will help to flavor the meat so much, and it makes it so much juicier. Now my herb butter has been out, also coming to room temperature, and I'm just going to take a bunch of that and stick it in there and rub it all over the chicken breast. Then I want to rub the herb butter on the outside of the skin. It's just going to make the whole thing buttery and flavorful and moist. It will also help with the browning because we're using butter. Sometimes when I'm making a turkey, I'll use olive oil instead of butter, and you can do that as well, of course. It will still help it to brown up. It's good also to rub some of the herb butter inside of the chicken's cavity, just to help flavor from the inside. Then I want to season the outside generously with salt and pepper. Next, I'm going to put some aromatics into the cavity, and this helps also to flavor the meat from the inside out. You can use apples, garlic, onions, lemons, oranges, whatever you'd like, really. It will add flavor. Extra vegetables that you have in your house. I'm going to use this lime that I still have, and I'm just going to cut it in half. I don't recommend that you stuff your bird. I know a lot of people like stuffing. I prefer dressing because it's safer to cook it outside of the bird. Cooking it inside of your bird can cause bacteria because it won't get to the proper temperature when your chicken or turkey are already finished cooking. And now I'm going to use my meat thermometer. I like to put it in where the leg and thigh connect to the breast. I find that's a better place to get a good reading. And I've preheated my oven to 425 degrees, which sounds high, but it actually will help to brown the chicken. And I had it in there for 30 minutes. Now I'm going to reduce the oven to 350. And I'm actually going to put some foil over the top because I don't want the skin to burn. And now it's going to go back into the oven and roast until it's finished, which I want that thermometer to reach 165. And here it is. Now I'm going to let it rest for a while, and I'm going to start working on a gravy. So I've covered that with foil, and now I have a tablespoon of butter, the drippings from the pan, and a couple tablespoons of flour. And I'm just going to mix that to form a roux. And if you don't have enough pan drippings, you can add some more water and just whisk up on the bottom of your pan, and it will help to pull up all that deliciousness. And now I'm just going to keep whisking that roux up and get it to a nice dark color. And then I'm going to add in some chicken broth, and I like to use the bouillon. So I'm going to pour in 1 cup of water. And then to that, I'm going to add 1.5 teaspoons of my chicken bouillon. Adding the broth here just helps us to have more liquid to form enough gravy for everyone to have some. And I'm just going to whisk that in. I want to bring it up to a boil, and then I'll reduce it down and let it simmer until it's the thickness that I prefer. And I know I've said it before, but gravy is kind of up to you. Some people like their gravy really thick. Some people prefer it on the thinner side, and I'm kind of in the middle. And it's come up to a boil. I'm going to just keep whisking it. You do want to make sure that your gravy does not stick. You don't want it to burn on the bottom. And I've lowered the temperature, so now I want it to simmer. And this is also a good time to season your gravy a bit. I like to add a little more salt and pepper. You could also add some more herbs if you wanted to. It's starting to thicken up. And I like to serve my gravy in my Pyrex measuring cup. You can see some delicious flavor from the pan drippings in here. And here is part of the chicken breast. I like to remove the whole breast lobe and then slice it. I find it makes the meat a little more tender. And then I'll pour on some of that delicious gravy. I love the dark color that I got from this one. And you can serve this up with whatever you like. Mashed potatoes, rice, vegetables, anything you want. Roasting a chicken really isn't that difficult. It just takes a little patience. I hope that you'll give this a try. And don't forget, you can always try a dry brine, a wet brine, whatever you'd like. I just like this wet brine marinade. It's very flavorful. I've used it for turkeys and chickens. I hope that you'll like and subscribe to follow me for more recipes and cooking tips.